Hey everyone, welcome back to the Old Music Bears and the podcast. I'm your host, Brian, and today I welcome a special guest from up north in New York. It's our boy, John, and I'm sorry if I pronounced last name wrong. Is it Spagnola?
That's close enough. Spagnolo. Yep.
All right. But no, AKA Spags. How you doing today,
That's
brother?
correct. Good, man. How you doing?
Not too bad. But to fill in the audience and also to fill in John here too, last week we got absolutely rocked with really a bad storm that knocked out our power for 5 days. So this is technically supposed to happen on Saturday, but then the circumstances says they were, and being without power and everything too, and me suffering from I'm going to say debilitating cold because, man, it knocked me on my ass for a good while. So,
Well, glad you're feeling better.
I'm at least 80% there. We're still working on it. So, all right. But nonetheless, let's hear about you. I guess what you been up to recently?
Oh, so I've been really busy with actually singing. I had put up a YouTube video of me doing a cover of Ace of Spades, and a friend of mine that is in a band is actually putting together another band for a couple of, one's for veterans and one's for suicide prevention, just a couple of benefits. And he's in a band, but he wanted to have another band to open for his first band, and also because he was in the suicide prevention one last year, he couldn't be in it again, so he wanted to be a part of it. So he's like, well, what if I put together another band? And the coordinator was like, yeah, okay. So he came to me and said, hey, how do you feel about, fronting a band? I was like, it's been a long time, man. It's been 25 years. I don't know if I can still sing. He says, I heard you. He said, that's what I want. I want, gravelly voice. He says, I think you'd be perfect for it. So I went and tried out, and it worked. And so now all of a sudden I'm lead singer in this little band that, we've got 2 gigs, and now we're already thinking about doing some other stuff because we really click well together. Bunch of guys my age pretty much, and it's called One More Time, suitingly. So that's been my biggest project lately.
That's
taking
cool.
up all my time.
I guess you do drums as well, right?
I do. I've been playing for this summer. I guess August or so. It'll be 3 years that I've been playing. So yeah. Thanks.
Here we go, brother. All right. And do you normally play Motorhead covers, or have you done a whole bunch in the past?
No, it was just kind of out of the blue. I was like, all right, I'm in this online group on YouTube that every month they do a challenge, and last week was 80s and New Wave week, and the month before was Metal March. So I did a couple metal songs, and I was like, I'm going to do a vocal one because I had done a vocal one the month before. So I did a vocal one. It was a collaboration with another guy. Oh, sorry. That was Pantera. I did Pantera, a collaboration with another guy. And then the Motorhead one I just did solo. So it was just, really it's just for fun. But so yeah, we just put the hashtag Metal March 25 or whatever, and we all kind of support each other. But it's a lot of fun. And that's what it was over. No, I'm not a metal, I'm not a Motorhead. I am a metal guy. I'm not a Motorhead cover guy by any chance, but yeah, just I thought it suited my voice pretty well.
I guess pretty soon I'm gonna hit you with the Lemmy question afterwards. Be like, who would win in a fight, Lemmy or God?
Trick question. Lemmy is God.
He gets it. Oh, man. Oh, no, wait. He's part of the cops. He's a cop. So, yeah. Okay. Actually, you're real good friends with Rich Raw Dog Drums. Is that what it is? Doing the challenges?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, Metal March. That was fun.
Yeah, he was actually in the Pantera. He did backup vocals too. But I wouldn't call us good friends. We only actually known each other for a couple of months, but great guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it when he brings the Metal March together too. I'm sure you saw with a couple of Death Angel ones I was doing.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You do that. I'm an idiot. I'm explaining it to you, and you already do it. Well, the audience probably doesn't know it. So.
Well, I've pretty much been stuck in the metal, but I was actually on what I call a thrash metal itch recently. So I finally finished up doing Death Angels, the Ultra Violence. Now I'm trying to get as far as I can with doing Dark Angels, Darkness Descends. So
okay. So you're into a lot more newer metal than I am.
You could say it's the 80s, and then you then get into more the heavier and darker side when you get into the 90s, like the Morbid Angel and that sort of bands. So,
Yeah.
but I will recommend "Shoot You in the Back" was actually a real good one from Motorhead. So, yeah,
Motorhead's got some good stuff. It's fun stuff. My wife said, you don't have a good voice, right? I said, neither did Bob Dylan. Certainly nobody told Lemmy, hey, you got a great voice. You should become a singer, but it doesn't necessarily matter. It depends on what you're trying to sing. I would love to have a voice like, I don't know, Bon Jovi, so somebody that could hit those high notes and be real smooth. But I'm never going to have that glass voice, and I'm never, ever going to hit notes like that. So.
Yeah, not all of us could be like the Ralph Halfords, David Lee Roths, all those guys. So
we are doing a Judas Priest song with the band, but it's not going to be hitting the notes he's hitting. That's for sure.
I was going to say, I think You Got Another Thing Coming would probably match. I don't know if that's one you're
doing Living After Midnight, but Another Thing Coming would be just as good. Yeah, Rob was a little lower toned on that.
Yeah. He went easy on you, we should say.
Yeah.
He went easy on that one. So.
He's got a range. You know who had a range? Axl Rose. Phenomenal. Not smooth either, but phenomenal range, like just from low to high. Incredible.
Yeah, listen to it on Appetite Destruction with the way he does it, like, for instance, on, like, Welcome to the Jungle, that leads into, like, the one solo. Then he holds it out. Yeah, he does it a little bit on Sweet Child of Mine. And I guess even Rocket Queen, too. So, yeah.
Yep.
I can see why.
Yeah.
But I guess in terms of everything else here too, you get to elaborate on everything else here too, John, just a little bit. But first off, welcome to my podcast here, John. And the way it's going to work is I want to get to know you more, both as the musician, but also as the individual as well here too. So, are you ready, mate?
I'm ready.
All right. He was born ready. All right. So I guess let's start back in the beginning when he was just a wee little lad. So I guess tell us your backstory. I guess how'd you become a musician, and I guess what else you do back in the day?
I'll let you know when I become a musician, but I'm definitely not a musician. I think my Instagram page says something like 86th worst drummer on Instagram or something like that. Definitely not a musician. Took music in like fourth grade, and both my grandfathers were into big band. They loved big band stuff. So they decided I should play trombone, and I hated the trombone. So I thought at the time, like, music is just not for me. The whole idea of reading the music, it just didn't make any sense. So it's a whole new venture for me this last 3 years. But going back to your question, I was born in Yonkers. My parents were from Yonkers in the Bronx. And so that's built in the Yankee thing. Probably conceived right near the stadium. My parents were very young. They were actually in high school still. And back then, you had kids and got married when that happened. So that's what they did. And grew up in Westchester mostly, and got in a lot of trouble when I was younger. I got sent away to a school, reform school, for lack of a better word, or juvie. But that was for 2 years, the last 2 years of school. And then when I got out, going through school, we moved a lot. My father moved a lot. My father had some issues when he was younger, and I went to 13 schools in my 12 years. So I was used to moving a lot, I guess. And then as an adult, it turned out that I bounced around a lot of jobs, and I had some good jobs, but just never stayed any place longer than 7 or 8 years was about the longest in most of the places. And went from being an auto mechanic and got into the oil refining industry, and did that most of my life. Took a break in between there and started a car stereo business online in the late 90s. Some of the best years of my life right there. I can tell you that. A lot of fun going to car shows and seeing who could have the loudest stereos, and ripping out back seats and filling them up with subwoofers, and yep.
The metal springs and all that stuff, just jumping up and down. So yeah,
lowriders and just crazy stuff, but a lot of fun. And then 9/11 happened, and everything just got bad with business, and the right job came along, and somebody offered me money for the company, the website, so I sold it and went back into refining. But yeah, I moved around a lot, and I got 4 kids from 2 different wives. I had 2 with each, and they're all grown up now. My youngest will be 19, August 4th, and my oldest is in his mid 30s. So pretty broad range. There was a long time between the second and the third, and too many wives to talk about. So we're just gonna skip that subject.
I'd say he's being like Keith Richards, just playing around too much. So,
yeah. Life happens. So
Okay, that's all right. You don't need to talk about it, but
yeah.
right. But nonetheless, congrats on the kids. So
Yeah, thank you. My greatest achievements.
Yep. And so you only recently jumped into the music scene about 3 years ago.
Yep. I've always been a huge fan of music. I've gone to concerts and bands and everything my whole life. And I was a singer in the late 90s into the very early 2000s. I was in a Jersey Shore band, but not for long. I started out as the sound guy. The singer kept not showing up, and I was like, I'll stand in. And we did Rock You Like a Hurricane, and like, you're the new singer. I'm like, okay. And that's it. I was the singer until they found somebody better, basically. But it was fun. But other than that, yes, that was my only real experience with being in a band or any type of musician.
So I guess outside of trombone, did you try to pick up any other instruments outside of also the vocals for the brief stint?
I did. I've tried to pick up guitar over the years and bass several times, and it just never made any sense to me. It just, I mean, at least the piano, the notes were in order. It was a little bit easier to figure out how to play it, like dun 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 dun. Okay, I get it. But the guitars just never made sense. I love them. I wish I could play them like my heroes, but it is what it is. It just never made sense. And then I had a bad accident in 2020, and I cut myself from here to here. And if you want to see some pictures, I've actually got some pulled up just in case. But it severed my arteries, so there was blood, pumping out, and it severed the main nerve that goes down there. So I have no feeling whatsoever in the fingers. In fact, if you look, I have a real big blister on the end of my finger. It's because I took a hot bowl of soup out of the microwave the other day, and I didn't know it was hot. And that happens all the time. So trying to hold a drumstick and develop that, it's been very hard. My sticks are always clashing because I can't feel where it is in my hand, whether it's here. I can't feel it at all. So it's like wearing mittens to play drums. That's what it feels like. So, but I learned how to play drums after the accident. So I actually picked up drumsticks for the first time after that accident when I had no feeling, and after all the frustration with guitars and everything, because I tried again after I got hurt and decided, all right, I'm pretty much done working. Let me get a hobby. And the guitar I couldn't feel the frets. I couldn't feel the strings, nothing. I was like, this isn't for me. And then I was reading a Facebook Marketplace ad, and it said PA system and 2 sets of drums, $200 or something ridiculous like that. And I was like, the PA system's worth more than that. I'm going to go grab this. And I did. It wasn't really 2 sets of drums. It was drums from 2 sets would be more accurate. But I was able to put together a 4-piece kit out of it. Not a great one, but I was able to put together a 4-piece kit. And I was like, all right, let me, YouTube basic drum beat, and when you get the money beat. And I was like, with a regular stick, I was like, well, I could keep it in my hand to hit the snare. I could hit the 2 and the 4. So I was like, okay, I can play drums. I'm going to try this. And it made sense. It was the first instrument I ever got behind. It was like, okay, this makes sense. The way I set up my drums don't make sense to anybody, but they make sense to me. and I'm still not great at it, but that's how I fell into it, and it was the best thing that's aside from my kids and things like that in life. But hobby wise, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I'm just so. I drive my wife absolutely crazy because all I talk about is drums. I stopped doing it because I was just driving her absolutely nuts. So I'm so into them, and not just playing, but tweaking and just everything about them, refinishing them. And I'll buy a crappy set and fix it up and then sell it. And it's not so much to make the money as it is, I actually enjoy doing it.
That's pretty cool. And I guess sorry about the accident, but I guess it turned out to be a blessing in disguise afterwards.
It was. It's still a real big pain in the ass, but yes, it's still difficult to even hold the phone because there's not a lot of strength here, and there's not a lot of. And they attached the tendon. One of the tendons that used to move my ring finger now goes to my thumb. And so they wrapped it around another tendon. It's over here. So when I want to move my thumb, I have to think about moving my ring finger, and then they go together. And trying to separate them, I could do it, but I have to really concentrate, and it's actually like there's stress. So why bother, kind of thing. But when you're trying to, you work your fingers, try to get that in the camera, trying to work I can't. It just doesn't work.
So I guess it's pretty hard to also do it just a typical thumbs up.
The thumbs up I can handle. You know what I can't do?
But
I can't do this. I'm trying. There it goes. Which sucks because that's the hand you use when you're driving, right? It's like I live in New York. What am I going to do without that? That's a handicap in itself. Not being able to use your middle finger in New York, your left middle finger.
Is this one of those? Hey, this guy just cut me off. The fucker.
Yeah.
Deal. So,
yeah. So now I gotta grab the wheel with my left hand and give it to him with my right hand because the left finger I could get it there. It just doesn't go up fast enough.
Yeah.
Why that one's affected, I have no idea. I think that's the tendon. They wrap the other one around to get over to the thumb. I don't know. I don't know what they did in there, but
actually, I thought that would be more like the curse sort of fist you do. Be like, "Damn you, FAA," or something. So, all right. But I guess why? I guess your drum set. You said it was kind of a little bit. I don't want to say awkward, but I guess it's a little different than what just normal people would do. I guess. So, what do you do? Is it just mainly just to accommodate your hands and everything?
Well, actually, if I move the camera so you could see my drum set right now, it would actually look very normal because I've been trying for the last few months to have my hi-hat in the normal, position next to the snare at, or whatever, 10 o'clock or whatever, and hit normal and have my toms lined up normal, like most people do. Because a few people have asked me, do you want to sit in on a couple songs or something? Because I have, like I said, a lot of friends in bands. I'm like, your drum set's never going to work for me. So I'm trying to force myself to do it. I've been doing that for 3 or 4 months now. But normally I have my kit set up with my hi-hats, literally my bass drum, my hi-hats, my snare. My hi-hats are literally between the bass drum and the snare, covering part of the snare. So it's like, it just overlaps the snare a little bit, and they're right there, and they're so much easier to hit right there. And then, if you're, the toughest thing for me to do is that, the hand-to-hand 16ths or 32nd. It's so difficult, but with it in the middle, it's a little bit easier. And the snare is right there when when you're coming off on that 2 and the 4. It's so much faster.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Especially if you're thinking like the Food Fighters, for instance, with like Everlong, like you're doing like this, and it's like,
yeah,
you have like the snare, and you have to like hit with the right hand because it's a lot difficult with the left hand,
or clocks, or there's anything from Rush. So
most of the time. So,
yeah. At some point in the song, he'll do that. At some point, yeah. Or a crazy ride pattern.
I mean, it is Neil Peart, so it's almost like he starts out slow, keeps progressively getting there. And then it's like, holy shit, what's going on right now? So yeah.
Yeah, who would win in a fight with between Neil Peart and God? And same trick question.
Neil Peart is God. So yeah. So have you always been a Yankee fan your whole life?
Yes. Yeah. My whole family. I would have been thrown out if I was anything else. Although I jokingly said that I was probably conceived a few miles from, or right outside the stadium, but my mother went into labor at Shea Stadium basically because she was at the World's Fair in 1964, which was at Shea Stadium, where Shea Stadium ends up. It's not there yet, but that's where the grounds were. The World's Fairgrounds are right there, so that's where she went into labor, and they had to go to the hospital. But my father and my uncles, my grandfather, they Italian New Yorkers. Everybody was pretty much a Yankee fan, but they loved the Dodgers too when the Dodgers were still in Brooklyn. My father said he used to, he'd go to a Brooklyn game and then go to a Yankee game in the afternoon, and like sometimes see two games in one day from two different teams. But they loved baseball. My father was very, very good. If it wasn't for me, I think he probably would have at least made it to the minors. And, who knows, maybe from there.
Is that, oh, well, there goes the dreams of the big league contract, we wanted to say. So.
Yes. Yep.
Actually, did your father and uncle, did they see Jackie Robinson back in his heyday?
I would assume so. I can't say for sure, but I have to believe they did. They're the right age to have done it. So, I would say they must have. My father, though, was a bigger Yankee fan by far. He just would go see the Dodgers because they were there and it was fun to watch baseball. But it was really big growing up and going to Yankee games, and still is. I'm sacrificing watching a Yankee game right now. Just saying.
Sorry for that.
It's the Padres, though. Who cares?
Hey, Padres are looking good, so watch yourself there, mate.
Not in New York.
It's not New York. We got to get back to the West Coast.
Yesterday, I turned off the game, and the Yankees were up by like 8. I was like, this game is pretty much done. So
I do have to apologize because actually, a friend of mine also came down. He lives on Long Island. He's a big Yankee fan as well. But the Yankees are playing the Pirates, which is the city I hail from. So,
yes.
So at that point, they already took the series. But the game I went to with my friend was the one game that the Pirates ended up taking. So,
good for you. Yeah.
So sorry.
Hey, that's all right. But yeah, it's cool that you went. Everybody
walked the fashion too,
once. Yeah. There's a lot of stadiums I'd still like to go to, but I've been to some of the better ones anyway.
Actually, it was a funny story because me and my dad went up to Toronto, and I guess we were just trying to look for something to do the one evening. I found out the Pirates were playing the Blue Jays, so I was like, "All right, let's do it." So we've got to see what Toronto Stadium is like, the big indoors with the AstroTurf and everything. So
yeah, it's supposed to be a nice stadium, Rogers Center. I'd like to see that one. I've been there, but not when baseball was going on, or not when there was a baseball game. So couldn't do it. Same with Wrigley. I've been to Chicago a couple times, but never during baseball season. So never was able to catch a game there, and I would love to. That's one field I would really love to see.
The old vines of Wrigley Field. So
yeah.
Cubs though are looking good. So we'll have to watch ourselves there. So we'll see what happens. But I guess what drum set have you been rolling with recently? And I'm not too sure if those symbols behind you are part of it as well, or just for decoration.
Just extra stuff. And tired of having them on the floor, so I just thought I'll put them on the wall, kind of thing. But so my setup right now, my modern kit that I play is a Yamaha Stage Custom in a matte surf green. But when I have it set up the way I like to have it set up, it's a 10-piece kit. I made a 20-inch gong drum for it because Yamaha doesn't make one. Other than that, it's 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, 20. But it goes like this. So the 8 and the 10 are over the bass drum, and they alternate out kind of like a V shape. And
almost like a pyramid, actually, the way you kind of
Yes.
describing it to you.
Correct. And like on my Facebook page, the the picture at the top, that's the kit, and lots of symbols. But it's actually easier for me sometimes to do a tom roll by going down the left with the left alone, and I could do doubles. After that, it gets kind of complicated, but I could do like so it doubles down each side in order, but alternating. And that works better for me than trying to go just from like the way it is now, 10, 12, 16. I end up smacking my drumsticks together. One goes flying. And so it just works better for me that way. And plus my hi-hats are in the middle. I use offset pedals. So that keeps the snare drum in the center. If you know what those pedals are like. That's my main setup. So that's what I play most of the time.
I don't know about the pedals you mentioned, but I've been rolling with PDPs for a good while. And,
Okay.
Actually, they're the same sort of pedals I've been using, because I used to have a Roland TD 25K, and now I've upgraded to a Roland VAD 706. So
Nice.
I was fortunate to keep those, because I think they only gave me like one pedal, and I think it's still in here, to be honest. So I got to figure out how to sell it.
Which module's that? 27? Comes with that?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have to check again, but the module is a lot bigger, so
It might be the 50. Yeah.
it might be. I'm trying to remember. So
Yeah, it's expensive kit. Man, Roland is the most expensive stuff. Well, until they teamed up with DW, now that's the most expensive. But they make the most expensive. They make the best, most expensive electronic crap in the industry, I think. So
I was like, why do you think I wait till Christmas to give a present to myself? I just needed my dad to be my not chauffeur, but the guy who's moving all the stuff around for me. Actually, funny enough, I underestimated, because I didn't think there was going to be that many boxes, and they had to like break down the big boxes to fit all the small boxes in my dad's big SUV. So I mean, at the end of the day, it just barely got it. So we got it to work. We got it home.
very cool, very cool. I had a TD-27 for a short time after one of my surgeries. He told me I wouldn't be able to even hold the stick for the first at least 8 weeks, and it was several months before I was able to like hit with it. So I got an electronic kit so that I could try and set up like a pedal as a snare kind of thing, and try to make up for it. And really all it did was just make me worse. Like my muscle memory was just completely thrown off, and I was overplaying the double bass, and I don't know. It just didn't work out well. So I ended up selling it, but I bought it used, sold it, so didn't lose anything really.
It almost seems like you had to be like the drummer from Def Leppard. You had to just play with like one hand and like
that was the thinking behind it. In fact, I did a couple covers anyway of one-handed drumming, and basic stuff like Michael Jackson, Billie Jean. But I could probably do that without the electronic kit. But it was kind of nice to be able to program like a layered sound, so you could hit with one hand. You could hit your China cymbal and get the China and the snare at the same time, where you can't really do that otherwise. So.
Yeah, I think it's your way. So, actually, when you started taking up drumming, was this during the heart of COVID, or was this, I guess, a little afterwards?
It was, it was after, let's see, 3 years. So it was 2022. Yeah, the accident happened during the heart of COVID.
I guess, was that accident work related, or was it more so at
No,
home?
it wasn't. Sometimes I wish it was, but no, I was putting in an HVAC system in my own house, and I was holding the air handler over my head. And long story short, I shouldn't have been doing that. I should not have been working alone, but I did, and the air handler fell, and the sheet metal on it caught my arm. It was kind of funny because it hit me in the head, and then it went on the ground, and it hurt my head, and then it landed on the ground. My first thought was, "Oh man, I just ruined the air handler. There goes $800." And then my head was kind of hurting, so I went like this with my hands to my head, and then I realized that there was blood squirting out of my wrist. I never felt the cut, never felt it at all. It was just, I guess the adrenaline just goes there so fast, and the fact that I cut the nerve. But yeah, I didn't know I was bleeding until I saw it, and just held pressure until I got to the hospital. Then they airlifted me to a trauma center.
I see. But I guess still stuck on the topic of COVID right here too. I guess outside the accident here too. I guess how bad was COVID for you, family wise?
It was kind of rough. I mean, I was selling HVAC at the same time, not related to me doing it at my house, but I used to sell HVAC. That was my kind of like last career. And you couldn't go in people's houses anymore. And that's what you did when you were selling HVAC equipment. So they were like, well, and we worked through Home Depot. I didn't work for Home Depot, but we were one of their contractors. So, Home Depot was like, no, we're not sending any leads out there. You're not going in anybody's house. So basically we were like the bosses. I was on complete 100% commission. So there was nothing I could do. So, I stopped working, and I got a call from a company in Chicago that Alpine Air, they started hiring people to sell online because there were they realized all these people were out of work, and they set it up so that everybody could work remotely. So it was perfect. It was the perfect job, perfect fit, everything. I was really happy, and I had only been there for a few months, and I bought a system from them for my basement, which we had finished. So I put a heat pump system in there. That's what I was doing when I got hurt. And when I got hurt, I told them, I can't type anymore, and you have to be able to type fast enough to be able to do phone sales and online chat and things like that. And they were like, sorry, but we have to let you go. There's nothing we can do. So they did. And I've got actually quite a few health issues. So that was it. I filed for Social Security, and, I'm 60 now. And I'm disabled. Not because of the hand, but the hand was kind of a big determining factor. Like, what are you going to teach a guy at the time? I was like 57. What are you going to teach a guy at that age to do now with one hand that, has no college and worked in oil refineries most of his life? Really, what are you going to teach a guy like that to do at that point? And they gave it to me like in record time. I don't know if that was because COVID was going on or just because they were like, yeah, there's nothing really you can do. So, I'm blessed in that way. I know people that it's taken years of getting denied, and I got approved on the first application. So
I know they always said about 62 when it came to want to file for Social Security. Do you have to pay tax or something if you try to take it early?
You get less money per month is what it is if you don't wait till full retirement, which for my age group is 67 now. For my father was 65 was full retirement. Now it's 67, and I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm guessing it's probably going to be 68 or something like that, because they have to keep raising the age because there's just not enough money in the system the way it is right now. It's going to deplete itself, sadly.
I think they're trying to shoot for 70, but they're being cheap bastards, to be honest. It could probably be an easy fix, but they'll make it easy. So I'm not going to get into any kind of politics whatsoever, but Bernie Sanders said one time, and the only thing I will edge on politics with is the only thing he's ever said that I agreed with. But he said that there's a cap to Social Security, how much you pay into it. And I used to hit that cap when I worked at the oil refinery, like October, and all of a sudden you're done paying Social Security for the year because you made over 105,000 or whatever it was for that particular year. Every year went up a little bit. But I didn't have to pay any Social Security, which is a 7.5% raise for the rest of the year.
But because there's that limitation on Social Security, I don't know how we got on here. If people that made 150, 200, 250, 300, 350, 400,000 and more a year, because there's lots of them out there. Yes, they're a small percentage, but there are still plenty of people that make over 120 a year. If they just paid Social Security the whole time, instead of just stopping when they got to 120,000 or whatever it is now, I think that it would fix itself. I really do. And that's fair to me. I mean, you pay, if everybody's supposed to pay a fair amount of tax, it should be the same for Social Security. And that's just my take on it. I think that's the way to fix that. But
I would say some good insight because I still got 30 years before I have to try to hit that. So
yeah, I thought you were quite young, so I wasn't really sure. But
I think it's official here. It's making me look old. So
yeah.
I think I'm trying to grow it out so I'm able to get in the bars without getting carded, especially even at this age. So.
My beard has gone completely gray except for like right here. I don't know why there, but I went gray from the neck up, and I shaved my head. But if you could see the shadows, I don't have any gray at all on my head if I let it grow out. I don't have much hair either, but there's no gray. My dad died like 72. He didn't have much gray hair either. So.
I should going to say, it looked like you used to grow out the goatee. Kind of going like a Breaking Bad sort of fashion right there too.
Yeah.
I guess you still try to do it every now and again, or is it a lot harder?
Yeah, I change it a lot all the time. When I have a full beard, my wife absolutely hates it. And she's like, it looks terrible. You look so old with that. Why don't you shave that? This is kind of new. I've actually never done this without the mustache, but it was like, all right, I'll try this for a little while. It's not comfortable shaving here, though.
That is true, yeah. Especially when you have to turn it sideways, try to get close to where the nose is right there.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's tricky. It's easier to just let it grow.
I would say your excuse for growing out the beard would be, it keeps the face warm during the wintertime, honey. So, all right. But
my excuse is I'm going to do what I want anyway, so...
Actually, you know what? I was thinking of an obituary song, Don't Care. Be like, I don't care. I'll do what I want. So, yeah. So, but did you get real sick with COVID? I guess were you and your family okay?
I got COVID. My wife got COVID. I guess everybody in the house got COVID. Yeah, everybody in the house got COVID at some point or another. My wife and I both got it after we got vaccinated. But nobody, thank God, nobody in my direct family died from COVID. So I consider myself lucky in that respect. And I'm high risk, so you know it wouldn't have, like everybody said, oh, it won't be good if you get it. I got it. I had a fever. You know what the worst part was? I lost my sense of smell and taste for months. But my sister, who's a doctor, was hospitalized 3 times from COVID. She's got a very she's had asthma really, really bad since she was a kid, so she couldn't breathe at all when she got COVID. It was now. That was one where we were really worried, like, is she going to make it? But that was the closest anybody in my family came. But I know some people, friends, you know, were affected by it. New York was hit pretty hard. Yeah.
All right. But all seriousness, I guess you and the family are doing well. They made some blessings to you. So I guess still kind of sticking on the topic of COVID right here, I guess. Have you gone to a whole lot of concerts, I guess, recently and even before COVID hit?
Yes.
I see what you're seeing. Were we seeing a lot of the cover bands, or was it more like a classic rock sort of bands?
A little bit of both. Depending. I've gotten to the point in the last 2 or 3 years, I guess. This is a perfect example. The shirt I'm wearing, this band it's an AC/DC cover band, a tribute band, you know. My God, is that a fun show to go watch? And like, I went to go see it at a theater near me. I've seen them twice now, and I think I paid $35 for a front row seat. You can't get any. I mean, I just went to Dream Theater 2 months ago. You can't buy a shirt for $35. Literally, the cheapest shirt there was $40. And I mean, it's just crazy how expensive concert tickets have gotten. It's gotten ridiculous. I mean, just thousands of dollars for concert seats. Really, I mean, I better be on stage if I'm paying $5,000 for a seat. You know, I mean, I should be like sitting right behind the drummer. I could be his tech. $5,000. I mean, who's worth $5,000 to see? Especially like these guys aren't at their prime anymore. Most of them that are out there charging these fees, except for maybe Mick Jagger. He seems to be the same. It's incredible. And Keith Richards, that whole band. I don't know what they did. They're from another planet, but sadly not the drummer.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to make a joke that I think it was Keith Richards. He had said that he had accidentally, because he was just so high and like on drugs and everything, he snorted his dad's ashes. So, I mean, you have to be pretty much almost near rock bottom to literally go to that sort of length just to get like that little high.
Why are the ashes out? But whatever, you know, that's Keith Richards. I read, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, he climbed the palm tree in his yard to get a coconut and fell out of the tree and hit his head. And he's okay, obviously, because that was years ago. But like, just have somebody go get you some coconuts. I mean, you're gonna climb a palm tree in your backyard to get a coconut? I mean, risk everything for a freaking coconut? How drunk were you? But you know,
it's a cute Jimmy Buffett song, "Wasting Away Here in Margaritaville."
Yeah.
I mean, he must have been. So it's the same thing with Ozzy too. You think of some of these guys, even mostly the Brits guys too, do every drug possible, and you're still alive.
I just listened to his I'm Ozzy autobiography. I listen to those audiobooks all the time of these. I did Brian Johnson's story, a whole bunch of them. And pretty much anything that's out there I've listened to. Eddie Van Halen's story, Alex Van Halen just had one come out. And Ozzy's was fascinating. And the guy that does the talking that narrates it, thankfully, is not Ozzy, because you wouldn't be able to understand the damn thing he said. But he does have the same kind of you almost think it's him, because he does have that thick. He's from the same area. But Brian Johnson was actually very difficult to understand. But Ozzy's story, what he told me, or what not told me, but what he said in the book, it was just the amount of drugs he did and alcohol was just absolutely incredible. Nobody should still be alive. And he's on tour. He's on a freaking tour. He can't walk. And the guy's on tour. But
I don't think on tour. I think it's just like one last gig after Independence Day. So
yeah,
it's like July 5th. Yeah, that's when they're going to do in Birmingham, where it all started.
Right. This
is where it will end. So, yeah.
And good for him. And you know, I hope he makes it, quite honestly. I mean, not to jinx the guy, but I mean, the last picture I saw of him, he did not look good at all. But it's amazing he's still alive. It really is. So, and God bless him. But,
yep.
Yeah.
I love those stupid assholes. They stuck to their guns. Yeah. So, actually, I think it was like funny. This might have been during like Black Sabbath, like Volume 4, that fourth album right there. They were saying like they're sneaking coke into their speakers just because they're that desperate for drugs or something.
Yeah, they thank their drug dealer on that album in the liner notes. I forget how they worded it, but something about the Coca-Cola company, but they spelled it differently. And but yeah, they were literally thanking their Coke dealer, which is pretty friggin' funny. But
I guess it worked. So, yeah. I mean, it was a killer album. So okay, well, that's slide.
All their stuff was, even after Ozzy left, it just genius. Come on, everybody debates about who started heavy metal or what the first heavy metal band was, and to me, it's Black Sabbath. 100%, it's Black Sabbath. I mean, others may have been really heavy, like Zeppelin was really heavy for the time. until Black Sabbath, and they just weren't anymore. You know, it was just to me they're the OGs.
That's for sure. I think one could argue that there are like what you say, well, Led Zeppelin right there being heavy and all that stuff, but you said maybe there was like pockets of it, but it was like Sabbath brought it together, and then when you hear the song Black Sabbath on the album Black Sabbath by the band Black Sabbath, it's like, this is dark, man. So yeah, made for an interesting Halloween drum cover, actually.
Yeah, genius writing. I mean, I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. I just think some of the songs, the way they wrote them, were just incredible. Not just the playing, but the words to them. War Pigs is by far my favorite Black Sabbath song. But lyrically, it's just incredible. When you start thinking about it, all these people, you know, Bob Dylan writing songs about war, and all these other people writing songs about war, but this wasn't about any particular country or any particular political party. It was just about war, and it nails it.
I do have to laugh because actually, my uncle, there's this thing on YouTube. I think it's actually an AI sort of thing they did, and it puts Black Sabbath in like a '50s band. So it's still lyrics and everything, but it's in like a '50s jazz band style.
I think I saw I saw a couple things like that. Yeah, if this band did this, we're out in this time period or whatever, and yeah, some of them were pretty funny.
And it's like when you finally hear the lyrics and how it's like playing on that, it's like, God, man, that is dark. So yeah, you don't think about it when you're actually hearing the song because you're just enjoying it so much. Then you're hearing this '50s band talk about nuclear radiation, war, that sort of stuff going on. So, or Hand of Doom, for instance, being like the whole drug, or I don't know what kind of drug I was referring to actually. So, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I think with Ozzy, just in terms of Black Sabbath, it seemed to decline after that Sabotage album, which I thought was album 6. I thought they did like 8 altogether. And it just seemed like it was just putting music out just for the hell of it, to be honest. So
the last couple albums, he said that nobody wanted to be there. Nobody wanted to be doing what they were doing. They were kind of forced into it. And it was kind of like Van Halen too. It was like, oh yeah, great tour, guys, and great sales on the album, and you owe us this much money. They're like, how the hell do we owe you money? And they did. So they kind of had to do things, but yeah, they never actually kicked Ozzy out. They just never called them again. And
I thought it was because he was also getting a little out of control too.
Oh, he was completely out of control. Yeah, that was absolutely the reason. He wasn't showing up. It's a typical alcoholic or drug addict, behavior. And yeah, it was absolutely for that reason. He was getting sloppy, and yeah, and he admits that he doesn't blame them for doing it. It was the right move. Yeah,
good man.
For him, if it wasn't for Sharon, it probably would have been the end of him. But his solo career was even better. At the time, it was perfect timing. But Sharon really was the genius behind that and kept him straight enough.
He always kind of laugh when he's like, Sharon! That whole deal. So, but he also was blessed too to have, I think it was Tommy Apis, is that how you pronounce the drummer's name? And whenever he went on his solo career.
Oh,
Apis, yeah. Apis, yeah. Sorry. But then you also had Randy Rhoads. I mean, like, guys like peanut butter and jelly.
Randy was just incredible. What happened to him? A lot of people don't even know the story, but it was just stupid. It was just stupid. He should have never been on that plane. And he hated flying. He was scared to fly.
Well, apparently with the drugs and alcohol, apparently it helped him conquer that fear.
He didn't use anything. He didn't use drugs. No, he did not use drugs. He didn't drink. He smoked cigarettes. That's all he did. He was a clean guy. Classically guitar trained. He could play anything. And when they weren't on stage, he was playing a nylon string classical guitar. And Ozzy said it was just, he's the greatest guitarist he's ever met in his life in any fashion. But yeah, somebody convinced the idiot, somebody that wasn't supposed to be flying a plane, got behind the wheel, for lack of a better term, and decided to do a drive-by on the tour bus that Ozzy was sleeping on at the time, actually, and tore the roof off of it. How did Ozzy live? Again, like, who the hell knows? But it spun the bus around and the plane crashed, and this young girl died, and Randy died, and the idiot that was doing the driving died, or flying, and the guy had lost his aviation license years before, and he just went to because the plane was in somebody's hangar that he knew that was right by, and they went basically and took it without permission even. And I don't know how he ever convinced Randy Rhoads to go. Ozzy said that he thinks that Randy was going to protect the girl that was going. I don't know why she went, but the whole thing was really bizarre and tragic, really tragic. This isn't the rock and roll stories where the guy overdoses and it's tragic young death, or like Terry Kath from Chicago, who was probably
the Curse of 27.
But he blew his head off, by mistake, joking around, thinking the gun was unloaded because it didn't have a magazine in, but there was one in the chamber, and joking around with one of the roadies, he blew his head off. Just that's pretty tragic. But the guy was drunk and stupid. Alcohol and guns don't really go well together.
No, I actually do an apology, because I thought Randy Rhoads, he was doing that thing because it seemed like it was part of the whole resume deal, doing like the drugs, the alcohol, and that sort of stuff. So I didn't know he was a clean guy.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't use anything. He really didn't.
Good man.
Yeah, he was, and he was going to get out too. He was telling Ozzy, like, I don't want to do this anymore. When this tour is over, this is the end of it for me. He wanted to go back to doing classical guitar stuff and actually teaching. He wanted to go to college and teach.
I see.
Shame. Yeah.
But then he also had like some of the, when you think of like Jimi Hendrix, I don't know if Keith Moon was 27, but it seemed like what he would call the curse of being 27. It's like you had to cross over that threshold and then you were all set for the rest of your life. It seemed like anything that happened before then, it was like the curse or something.
Yeah.
Or like people like doing stupid shit with like barbiturates or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm still not quite sure what those even are, but and then there's Bryan Adams' song Summer 69, but really 69 was a bad year for a lot of musicians. I think that was the year Morrison, Joplin, Hendrix, I think they all died that year. Somebody else, I think. But those were stupid deaths, just substance abuse. And that's stupid. It's a waste. It really is. But yeah. I understand. I've had issues in the past myself, and I get it. So it's just it's still hard for me to use the word tragic with situations like that, because they brought a lot of it on themselves. We make decisions in life, and sometimes you pay a heavy price for them. Yeah, and I have my issues. I'm certainly no innocent person, but thankfully I got through it, and a lot of people weren't so lucky. So I always support people like that, 100%. Any way I could help with that kind of stuff, I would do. But when people lose their lives, it's hard for me to use the word tragic, like a lot of people use for that. Suicide is tragic. What Randy Rhoads died from is tragic. Drug overdose is horrible. But something about the word tragic just doesn't ring right for me.
Probably more so because it was a decision. It was like,
it was.
You just walk away, maybe just go back to the bus, just lay down. Let's get over this hangover, because I'm sure they were probably drinking too or something. But It's
Oh, Ozzy was plastered. Yeah.
always plastered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And John Bonham, the way he died, I mean, he puked on his own, he choked on his own vomit, and he drank bad. He drank a lot. That guy was a monster. But again, you can't use the word tragic there. It's just, but he was who he was. He couldn't control it. It's a shame he didn't get better help. That's the tragic part. Not how he died, but the fact that he didn't get the help that he really needed, and certainly could have. He had the means, that's for sure. You could buy anything you wanted. He could have gotten all kinds of help if he made that decision.
I guess. But I guess kind of segue into the questioning here, I guess. What sort of challenges do you think he faces these days, being the musician and all?
My age, my physical limitations. Those are basically it. I don't really consider myself a musician with the drums. I would say that I probably know more than most people about drums at this point because I study everything about them, and I just constantly read and watch videos and histories of drums, and I'm a geek is what it is. I'm a drum geek, but I do love to play. I don't play because I'm good. I play because I love to play. The singing part is pretty new now, but the fact that I'm doing that, I could call myself a musician technically. And that's a lot of fun. And I just got one of these TC Helicon modules that you can really mess with your voice. And it's man, I wish I had one of these in 2000. It's pretty incredible what it does, and it just makes you sound so much like you don't have to be a sound engineer. You just hit a button, and it does the de-essing for you. It just does everything for you, and it could be pretty incredible, what it could do to your voice and how it could change it.
Can you get like a little Darth Vader action going right there?
I could do all kinds, and I'm just hitting buttons kind of random here, but let me turn that off.
How about a little jump on the hot action there?
Yeah, I could do the Mr. Roboto in about a second. It's crazy,
Yeah,
but it's fun.
Cool.
But I told the guys in the band, I said, I'm not going to go out there and do one of these, things where you do the auto tune and sound like Cher doing, Life After Love or whatever that song is. Just any song I've heard that uses auto tune, it's so obvious and it sounds so horrible. I could see using it. I could see using some of those types of effects. Like I'm probably going to be using a little bit. Like if you want to add a little chorus to your voice, that's cool. I'm good with that. If you got one singer and there's nobody that can do backup, I'm good with hitting a button to have a chorus. I don't think that's terrible, and I wouldn't use it for a whole song. But if you're using it for like, Living After Midnight, load it, to something like emphasize something like that, I think that's cool. But I would never do like a whole song using any kind of effects like that. It just doesn't seem right. I know guitarists could have 40 different pedals, but it just doesn't seem right to do that to the voice. You're just not singing at that point.
Yeah, plus it kind of seems unfair too when you think about it. But,
yes.
So that's anyway. I would say you're also a musician too, since you're also posting videos on a YouTube channel. I guess where'd the name Spags come from? Was that a nickname?
Yeah. My whole life. So was my dad, and all three of my uncles called Spags, either one. The Z at the end came into play because I have a license plate still. I used to have a license plate and SPAGS was actually taken, so I got SPAGZ. And then when I went on YouTube, I was like, I'll just use that because SPAGS was also taken, as well as just Spag. So on YouTube, to have just a 5-letter handle is actually pretty cool. So I'm keeping it. It's, now you have to have like letters and numbers and all kinds of, every good name has been taken years ago. So I've had this for years and I just kept it. I didn't start posting stuff to your YouTube till a few years ago, and I actually got monetized pretty quickly, and it was literally like from 2 videos basically that were not me. So it has nothing to do with my skills that I got, but yeah, I make an easy $108 every 10 months or so.
I guess that's hard too because you're doing covers. So
yeah, it's revenue sharing and everything else. Yeah.
I guess what else do you do on the YouTube channel? Do you do maybe some gear breakdowns and stuff?
Once in a while, I just kind of try and do a little bit of everything. And in fact, I think that's one of my problems, that I really had never focused on one thing other than bands playing, whether it be me or, Dream Theater, Jason Bonham's band. I've got a bunch of stuff from him and some a lot of Led Zeppelin stuff online. Just different bands I've gone to see over the years, the last few years. Once it got really easy to start doing videos with a phone, and I realized like nobody's stopping you from bringing a phone into a concert. So I just started filming it more and more, and then I started doing it for a lot of local bands to try and help them, promote them on Facebook and YouTube. Just every little bit helps when you're a small band, especially when you're just starting out. And I think I started going into this and I probably went off on a different track, but the guy that put the band together that I'm in, he brought together me and another drummer and a guitar player to play with him and his lead guitarist from his band, because we are all supporters of local music in our own ways. And so it was kind of like, hey, we want to give back to you guys because you guys are always there for us for everything all the time, and so here's your chance to be in a band and get out there and in front of people and see what it's like to be in the band, which is really cool. I thought that was really nice of them to do that. So, and again, we got those 2 gigs that we're doing for, charity, but now we're looking at doing some other things. So I guess we got to learn some more songs.
Get ready to go on tour, man.
Yeah.
The Eternal Damnation tour. So yeah.
Yeah. Putting the band back together.
Actually, I know you mentioned about New York and Westchester earlier. I guess, so where you currently reside now? Are you back in New York?
I'm in Orange County, New York. Yes. A little further from the city. But I'm like 5 minutes from Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I'm right at there's actually a place in the town I live in that's called Tri-State Rock. It's where the 3 borders come together. So I'm right at that corner, if you call it that, of Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey.
I was gonna say crossing the borders illegally then. So actually, I know you mentioned earlier about ticket pricing and all that stuff. Are you close? Or I guess where do you go to see like your shows? Do you go to the Big Apple, or do you kind of sneak down into some in New Jersey and Pennsylvania?
I do go to Pennsylvania for some shows, quite a bit, really. Penn's Peak, is that the name of it? I think that's the name of it. That's one that I go to in Jim Thorpe, PA. If you know where that is, it's not. I don't know. I guess it's about an hour I think it's about an hour and 15 minutes from here. And then I go to Stroudsburg and what's the town where office was from and Joe Biden's from?
Scranton or Wilkes-Barre?
Scranton. Yep. There's a theater there that I go to for some shows, and there's some local places. But I would prefer to go to the Big Apple all the time. But again, the prices are just so much. I mean, I'm on a fixed income now, so it's like there are limitations. Did I want to go see Iron Maiden? Yeah, I did. I want to go. Yeah, did I want to go to the Metallica show? Yeah, I wanted to go, but
money is tight these days.
Yeah, and those prices are just. Not that I don't support artists making money. I'm all for that. I don't have a problem with that. It's not but it's ridiculous prices.
It's like we got a problem if it's over $100. So that's what we say, especially if it's general admin too. So
yeah, I mean Metallica, the way they set up that show is crazy. I don't know if you know how they did it, but it's like a ring, and it's almost like they go down into the floor, and then the drum kit comes up in another area or something. And I don't know how they set it up, but it's incredible. But you never know where they're going to be, and they're not necessarily playing together. And I watched a few of the videos of some of the concert footage. It's like, wow, this is crazy. So it's almost like every seat is a good seat and a bad seat at the same time. But it's still not, not $600 good. Not to me.
That's VIP tickets there, buddy. So,
yeah, it should be, but that's not what it was, and I'm not, Iron Maiden. By the time I tried to get the tickets as soon as they went on sale, and they sold so fast with bots and everything else. By the time I was able to get a seat, nosebleeds, and it was still $265 or something like that. And I'm just not paying that to look at a cement column and watch them on a screen, because that's what you're doing when you're in a place that big. You can't see them; they're ants. You know what I mean? It's just I want to be like right up front. I want sweat to be hitting me. So yeah, it's hard for me to sacrifice the good seats, and I can't afford the good seats anymore. So it's okay.
I was say back in the day, they used to get in the mosh pits, or I guess whatever shows you went to.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of shows in my life, and a lot of shows, thankfully, in New York. I saw some of the biggest concerts. I saw the Wall tour where they built the wall in Madison Square Garden. It's one of the only places where they actually constructed the wall. They were supposed to do that on every leg of the tour, but that was one of the. I think they did it there in LA and maybe one other place. I think it was done 3 times. So for a tour that big, to be there for that one famous concert, I wasn't there for the one where they spit on the fan, but I was there for the wall.
I should make it sound like the Black Flag concert next. So, actually, I'm a little surprised about Iron Maiden, because me and my dad actually went to go see him last year when he came to PVG Paints. I would say maybe a little pricey, but I mean, for being able to see him, I mean, I got some good footage and everything.
That's awesome. I wish I could have got to see them again. I've seen them 6 times. So, I mean, at least I could say, I saw them in their prime. Not that they were, but if I knew it was going to be Nico's last tour, I would have probably paid the money. I really would have. Definitely one of my favorite drummers of all time. No doubt.
I have to dive just a little bit here too, but as soon as I saw that post when he said he was just backing away, I was like, because I literally saw it when he came to Pittsburgh, so I was like, thank God. So.
Yeah, and I would assume that Pittsburgh, just in general, that the ticket prices are a little bit less than they're going to be in New York, New Jersey. Meadowland's a big stadium, so they could seat 60,000 people, but they're still charging ridiculous prices. I went to go see Bruce Springsteen at the Meadowlands like 8 years ago. Nosebleed seats, because the woman I was married to at the time loved Bruce Springsteen. So I was like, all right, we're going to go. It's Meadowlands, it's his home turf, and he puts on a great friggin' show. At 60-something years old, he was running around with a boom mic on and running out on the wings of the stage and singing at the same time. And he was not breathing heavy. That man is in incredible condition. And they played a 3-hour show, just like they always did. No warm-up band, no nothing. They come out and just jam. But the seats, they weren't ridiculously expensive, but they were over $100, that's for sure. Probably 160 or so each. And it was probably 7 rows down from the very top of the stage. I mean, you were literally in the nosebleed seats. You're watching it on screens. You're not watching the concert. You're watching it on a big TV screen.
It was kind of similar to how Green Day was. Because I misjudged where the seats were, because I thought I was close to where the stage was. You're able to see it real good, but it was a little further away than what it was. I was like, damn it, like I screwed that up.
Yeah.
So
If you don't know the venue, it doesn't, like, I bought VIP front row seats for a place in Portchester to go see Jason Bonham. And I get there, I'm like, this is the VIP section? And like, yeah. Like, so I have a front row to the sound guy? Because that's what it was. The sound guy was in front of me, which was actually a distraction because I'm fascinated with that stuff. So I'm watching what he's doing. But they were terrible seats. But I didn't know the venue, but it was like front row, VIP, whatever they called it, seating. I was like, oh yeah, I'll grab that ticket. And no, not the front row that I thought.
He's like, never again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that place pissed me off so much. Everything about it, I will never go back to that for any show, actually. The security people there were really pricks.
Why were they kind of always frightening you if you didn't behave or something? Or
I have this. I have a Shure microphone it's a stereo microphone that goes on my phone, and it just goes on there like it's just a microphone. It's about this big, and it's got a little foam thing on the end. But it's great because it records in stereo and it does a really good job. I mean, it's made by Shure, so it's a good microphone. I had that on my phone, and they're like, "You can't bring that in here." I said, "It's just a phone, so I don't care. I can't bring it in here." I said, "It's a phone. You can't bring it in here." I said, "I'll take the microphone off." No, you got to go bring it back to your car. It's pouring ice rain outside, like horrible weather. Like, I have to walk all the way back to my car. My car's like 4 blocks away, and I'm soaking wet already. Yeah, you got to. Why? It's a microphone. Everybody else here has phones. They're going to be videoing it. Yeah, but you can't bring that in here. That's recording equipment. Okay.
We're all recording, and we're going to put it on YouTube at some point. So what's your point?
So I said, like I said, they pissed me off so much. I won't go back there again. It was just the way they treated me was just. And the lady was like, "I'll just take your ticket completely. You won't even be able to come back in." I'm like, okay, I'll bring it back to my car. You're in charge. Unbelievable.
Yeah, people these days. So.
Yeah, so I stopped bringing that anywhere that I wasn't familiar with. The place that know me, I bring it.
I would say for me, at least whenever it's like out in the general admin area, my dad always tells me go where the PA system is, because one, that's where you're able to get like the best sound. Obviously, since they want to deliver the best sound possible, but it's also great footage because you see pretty much where the stage is and everything. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was so happy when I saw Mudvayne, All That Remains, and Megadeth. So that was a great spot there. And I also got a little crowded too because I went to go see Cannibal Corpse with Carcass and Meshuggah. But right where it was, because there was like a little stairs leading down, this guy leaned over the rail and just started recording. Got some killer footage. Gonna be coming soon in May.
Nice, very nice. I love watching concert footage online. I really do, and that's why I post it, because it's just fun. I like getting really good footage. The footage I have of Jimmy Sakurai doing Jimmy Page on the Jason Bonham Experience, that's the one I have over 1 million views on. It's a short. It's 18 or 17 seconds long, but it's a really cool close-up of him playing. And it's like, because I was in the front row and he's like 10 feet from me, and I zoomed in and I got the guitar just like perfect. And you could just see every note he's hitting, and it was really cool footage. And I think that's why it just went so viral.
So that sounds more like a YouTube short, actually.
Yeah, that's all it was. I just clipped out part of the footage of the whole song that's also posted, which has nowhere near the amount of plays as that short does.
That always stinks, especially when, if you think about it too, even with like some of the drum covers, let alone vocal covers that you do, it's like you put in God knows how many hours just to like get the maybe producing and all that stuff down, because I don't think I ever use MIDI or anything like that, because that's how I roll with mine. It's like we put in hours just to put in this 3 to 4 minute video, and yet the short that's only like maybe 15 seconds long gets the most views and subscribers.
Yeah, it's crazy. People don't have long attention spans. It's just that simple. And, it's only a few seconds that counts as a view on YouTube. I forget how many it is now. They've changed it a few times. I think it's like 8 seconds. But you might get somebody to watch that much before they're, scrolling to the next one. So you get a lot of views, but you don't make a lot. And with the revenue sharing, it's and again, I have no problem with the original artist getting something for this because it's their freaking song. That's cool with me. I don't like it when they say you can't have this up. You just and then my friend lost his channel over Queen. Lost his channel because he posted video footage of Queen and who was the guy that toured with them a few years ago? I forget right now, but he
Prince?
posted a video of no, it was Roger something. I forget his name, but the guy that played with Queen, they were good, but my friend Billy posted it, and he lost his channel over copyright strikes, and no warning, no nothing. It was just shut down. He had thousands and thousands of subscribers and thousands of videos that he used to be in the music industry, writing for a magazine. So he had hundreds of hours of interviews with like big stars, and all gone. Just, they just said, nope, you can't have it. And he's appealed it like 3 times and they still won't give it back to him. That I think is really wrong. And I think it's wrong when the artist or whoever owns the rights says, no, you can't have this up at all. Or you're not allowed to show this in Russia. You get all these different things. It's like, all right, when I put up that one Michael Jackson, I'll never put up another Michael Jackson post, but it's only visible in like one country or something like that. And I think it's the United States. I think that's the only place I'm allowed to actually show it.
That's what happened with me with the Testament and the one Green Day cover. It's like, Belarus and Russia, we are not showing this video at all.
Yeah,
it's
really strange.
I'm like, you got a life or something?
So another YouTuber gave me some advice that's actually really good advice. Before you put in all those hours on your music, on your video, on your production and all that, post a video of anything. You could just be sitting there looking at the camera like you are right now with that song playing. Upload it private so that it's not visible and see what YouTube says. See if it's monetizable and see if they block you or if they're going to give you, you could find out before you put in all that time in. And you don't even have to upload the whole thing. You could upload a 30-second clip and it's going to know. Well, actually, you don't want it to be a short because in shorts, you're allowed to do just about any music. They don't give you the copyright strikes usually, and usually you could post just about anything.
That's it. That might explain a lot, but I'm a little surprised because there was actually a death metal song I had played from Incantation. It was also part of the New York death metal scene there too. But first off, I was a little surprised because
you got some fast feet, man.
Well, actually, this one was a slower one, but it was still had a good amount of double bass in it. But the thing was, it wouldn't allow me to post it from like the very first second to like 3 minutes and 20. It just said like, no, you can't post that at all. So I had to like cut out that bit and then just play from like 3 minutes and 21 seconds onward. And it was like, okay, it says copywriting, but you can still post it on YouTube.
It's so weird. Like, that's what I mean. There's no definitive rules. At least if you knew the rules, you could go along, but it's not very well defined. And, all that stuff, there's no humans looking at that. It's all done with AI. Same with Facebook. I've had posts removed and I don't even know what the post was. It'll just say your post is removed and you're not going to look at it, but you can't see it because it was removed. There's not even like a screenshot of it. So you don't even know what the post was, but it doesn't meet our community guidelines. Okay. I've had videos that I've posted and they've said that, I wasn't allowed to use it. And I've, appealed it and won a couple times. I think it happened twice. And mostly because I just didn't want them to hold it against me. Not so much like I'm worried about losing the 8 cents I'm going to make on Facebook, from the video. It's just I don't want them to hold that against me like, oh, that's a copyright strike or whatever Facebook calls it. Because they handle things completely different. But I don't think they're letting you monetize anything on Facebook with covers.
I wouldn't think so, but going back to what you mentioned earlier about your phone right there, did he not see anything like saying like, no, you can't post this video, it will be shown or anything like that? He didn't get any warning, nothing like that?
Nothing. It was Queen and Roger Taylor. That's who was singing for them. Now it just came to me. So he has some cognitive issues, and I'm not kidding. But yeah, that's who it was. Maybe I'm gonna sound like an idiot. Anyway, but yeah, there was no warning, no nothing. They just took his channel. They just shut it down, and they did that with one of my channels a while back, and I was never able to get it back. I had barely any videos on there. I had one video that, for whatever reason, was against their community guidelines. I don't know why. I have no idea. Like, they wouldn't even tell me what I did wrong. They just said it failed to meet our community guidelines, or it broke one of the rules, or whatever. And they took away my whole channel. I didn't give a crap about the channel. There was like 3 videos on there. It was a personal thing. What I hated was hundreds of videos I had saved, I had bookmarked, all the channels that I was subscribed to. I had to go out and find these people again. And it was like I had to start over. And luckily I had the one that I'm using now also that I just switched to that, and I started using that for my personal thing. But my main email address, I can't even look at a YouTube video if I'm logged in on my phone. They'll say that, this content is not available. They won't even let me watch videos under that email. That's how, like, when you lose it, you lose everything related to it.
That's a major BS.
They let you keep the email address. That's it.
Jeez. Continuing war and stupidity from humanity. So yeah, that's the way. All right. So sorry to hear that, but it's good to see you got still a badass channel and everything here too. So congrats for being monetized as well.
It's really hard to get there. It really is, and it wasn't the subscriber thing. I thought I'm never going to get 1,000 subscribers, and then I got that and went way past it. And I had over 4,000 subscribers, but I wasn't close on the watch hours. Nowhere near the watch hours. So I just started uploading anything and everything I could to try to get. And I saw that people were following me and subscribing because of Led Zeppelin stuff. So I posted a ton of Led Zeppelin stuff, just concert footage that they did that I really did nothing to be quite honest. And but it got me over it because I was this close every month. It was like this close. And I knew that I had a month coming where a year before, because it's a rolling year that is done on. So I knew that there was a month coming up where I'm going to drop way off because I dropped way off a year before. So that's why I did all that in this one short period of time, and it worked. It got me just over, like, all of a sudden I got this email saying, congratulations, you're a YouTube partner. I was like, oh, that's freaking awesome. But I did not work as hard as a lot of people did. I feel like, I don't want to say it was given to me, but I feel very lucky to have gotten it so easily. And really, it was 2 videos that got me there. I swear to God. 2 shorts that both were around 1 million views that got me thousands of subscribers each. Not watch hours. So that was the hard part, was the watch hours. So
yeah, I can understand. But congrats nonetheless there, mate.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So we have a technical difficulties every now and again here too, but we have reached for all the questions here. So now we're down to some fun ones. Ready?
All right.
So let's start here with the first one. I guess, so what would you say is currently your favorite food?
Pizza. Always has been, always will be. Even though I'm on a diet right now and I'm eating cauliflower crust pizza.
Actually, I think I did see something CNBC Shark Tank. I think someone actually brought. I don't know if it was cauliflower crusted. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's made of cauliflower, the crust.
I don't know if it was that, but I think it was like something.
Actually, not. It's not that bad, but it's not. It's not real pizza. No.
It's not authentic Italian pizza, man. So,
My second job was making pizza. My first was washing dishes in a Chinese food restaurant.
Actually, I thought it was a oil refinery, but I guess that came later.
Yeah, it was much later. I was
Much later.
25 or so.
Okay, fair enough. But nonetheless, you can tell he's got his Italian roots.
Yeah.
I guess, do you get offended when people do this? The whole thing with their hands and everything? No. Or is it a true stereotype they do that with their anger? Stuff like that. All right, fair enough. I'm not sure how much of a TV nerd you are, but I guess, do you have a favorite movie and a favorite TV series?
Oh, favorite TV series. Trailer Park Boys. I know it's stupid, but I could watch that, or I probably watch that. The one that's on Netflix, the original Trailer Park Boys series. It's like 20 seasons or whatever it is. I've probably watched every season 6 times. I've probably gone through the whole thing. When I'm going to sleep at night, that's my favorite. I used to say the Rocky franchise, but I was thinking about that. I think really enjoy comedy movies, Airheads, so I knew the Lemmy joke. And I also have movie Tourette's. I will break out with a line from a movie just because somebody brings up something that relates to it. And it's like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. I do that all the time, but almost nobody ever gets it except for me. But yeah, like old stupid comedies, new stupid comedies, whether it's Adam Sandler or Monty Python, anything like that, just cracks me. I've watched it a million times.
Actually, funny enough, it's funny you mentioned about Monty Python because I don't know if you ever watched Game of Thrones, but there's one.
Never.
Okay, there is one particular scene. I forget if it was season 3. I think that's what it was. When Dany, who's one of the protagonists in the story right there, she arrives at this one city called Marine. There's one challenger comes out. He speaks another language, but it turns out he was actually doing it, or if it's translated, it's pretty much how the French guy was in Monty Python.
I thought in your general direction. Yeah.
Basically, he was saying that, but he wouldn't know it because he was speaking in like a foreign tongue. So I mean, it was an interesting topic. I learned that today. So, all right,
that's great.
All right. Here's how I word this one here too, because I want to confuse you. But if you have a favorite song of all time, feel free to share. Otherwise, if that's too much, name your top 3 bands that you consider your favorites.
Iron Maiden, Rush, and Led Zeppelin. Favorite song would be 2112, the whole thing. Like all the parts.
I guess with Iron Maiden, Led Zeppelin, and Rush, I guess would you say that those are the top 3 drummers who really influenced your play style?
100%. Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Very different drummers, all.
Unique drummers, we should say.
Yeah, it's just very different from each other, but those guys. But Pierre, 100%. There's no doubt in my mind. He's number one influence and my favorite. It's not even close, and the other 2 are really good to me, but it's not even close how much I love Pierre or loved.
Loved. We have to say in the past tense now.
Yeah, sadly. So, yeah.
Hey, rest in peace. So, you know what? I did forget a question. Not sure if you do drink, but if you do drink any alcohol, what would you say is your favorite alcoholic drink? What's your favorite non? And non-alcoholic, yeah. Iced
tea. Single malt scotch, the Macallan, just like Neil Peart enjoyed, actually. Same exact one. That's my favorite. But any whiskey will do. I drank beer when I was younger. I don't tend to drink beer anymore.
Actually, here's an idea. And actually, a friend of mine did this because we collaborated on a Van Halen song. I was hear about it later. And it's pretty much built up right to when the guitar solo comes in. It's typically a cowbell, but we actually took a bottle of Jack Daniels because I guess that was either the preferred choice or that was probably Mark Anthony's choice. But that we just said it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah. So there's an idea for a cowbell. Just use a Jack Daniels bottle. So shout out to Mike Conway. So yeah. All right. So I guess, John, we breezed through all the questions here. We're down to one more question for my podcast. Before we jump into it, would you like to ask me anything or say any final words?
I'm curious why you asked me to be on it. I've seen a bunch of your podcasts. I'm like, he's got like some up and coming bands or some guys that have been around for a long time. And I was really curious why you asked me, of all people. I don't, like, my wife even said, like, why is he talking to you? You're not a real musician. I don't know. That would be my question.
Well, you are a drummer, first off, regardless of where your talent level is, because trust me, I'm completely self-taught. I've learned how to do drums because of video games. So, and trust me, I'm probably not the greatest at time, but I somehow get it done. So it comes with memorization. So first off, it was because of the drummer, but also
the hardest thing for me, memorization.
That too, yeah. But it was also because some of the comments you had shown, and in the past, before I started interviewing bands, indie bands, I should say, but there were a couple who were like part of some well-known groups, I should say. But it used to just be drummers, whether they were just hobbyists or whether they actually tried to take drumming seriously, whether it was on social media or with a group. So I figured it's worth a shot. Plus, it's something at least talk to too. So it's good to branch out. It helps with
I'm enjoying the conversation, so it's cool. And I'll always talk about music anytime. So
yeah, that's helps breaks out my introverted side. So I need someone to talk to because I've kind of been going on 2 weeks now without getting a little interviewing because I've been distracted both with the storm that came through, deal with the cold, and also a couple of shows I went to. So yay.
Yeah, it was good. There's good and bad that week, but okay, 2 weeks, yeah.
So yeah. So I figured, it's 50-50. Either says yes or no. So there you go. Hope that answers the question.
It does.
All right. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
They'll come to it later. That's normally what happens, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But there is nothing else. Here's how the last question goes. So given what's been going on in the world, pretty much with the negativity that was kind of going on with COVID or whether it was a streak of bad luck, which kind of seemed to be what happened in your life here. But given all the negativity that's been going on in the world, I think people need some sort of hope these days or something to kind of keep them moving forward, to say the least. So what would be your message of hope to musicians, people out there, so they can move forward with their lives?
Wow. It's a big responsibility.
Preach, man, preach.
Well, my hope is from God. That's where my hope comes from. I am a believer, and that's 100% where my hope comes from. But to other people, that maybe don't have that faith, or maybe they have it, but they just don't. It's not working. It's not enough for this world. I've been there. I truly have, and it can be tough with it, especially like you said, with everything that's going on right now. It's polarizing the way everything is getting done in our country, and almost worldwide now with what's going on in our country and our leadership and the way it's treating other countries. It's almost like all of a sudden, like we're the hated Americans again. But that's nothing new, actually. It's just, I think it's a little more extreme right now. The hope going forward is this too shall pass. Everything in this life is temporary. Whatever you're going through, whether it's COVID or whatever, it's all temporary in this life. And sometimes my best friend who's gone now, Pete, he used to say that all the time. He said, "Don't worry about it, man. Everything in this world is temporary. Everything in this life is temporary." And he was right. And it's just the truth. It's whatever it is, it's going to pass. And that's really my message to anybody with mental health issues, that one of the things we're doing is for suicide prevention, and that's very near and dear to my heart. I lost a lot of really close friends to suicide, and I've been there myself. And, that's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And if people could just get that, it's all temporary. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out well, but most of the time it's just temporary, and you're going to look back on it at some point and say, yeah, that was really scary. That was really bad, but but we got through it, and it made me stronger, or did this or did that. Sometimes you're going to lose somebody when things go bad, but it's still going to get better in time. So I guess that would be my message. Is it's just temporary. Whatever hardship you're going through, whatever politics we're dealing with in this country, or what the media is doing to us to try and polarize this country, it's a very sad thing, and it's horrible to see happening. But again, I don't want to get political, and I'm not really talking about which side of the aisle I'm on or anything else. I'm just saying, whichever side you're on a side. You're almost forced to be. And that's the problem. You shouldn't be held. You should be able to just believe what you want to believe and have that right. That's what this country's founded on. And you shouldn't be put down for it either way. And we shouldn't be losing friends over conversations about that stuff.
Absolutely. And spoke like a true prodigy. So, all right. So, John, we reached the end of my podcast right here. We talked a little over an hour 30. Maybe close to 40 minutes. So, yeah. Talked some good timing, man. So, yeah, had a great time. So, I guess real quick, what social media are you on? And I guess you want to give any shout outs, any final words?
My YouTube channel, my tag is Spags, my handle. It's the Spags Drum Shed, I think I have it listed as right now. It used to be Spags Place. And I'm on Facebook. I am a digital creator or whatever on Facebook, so I have a public profile. And I have tons of friends that are musicians, mostly drummers, but a lot of musicians. And that was, intentional, because I love talking to them, and it's just it's a really fun community. And some of those people I've met, I truly call friends. I got online friends, and some of these people I actually consider friends. Again, my wife doesn't understand. Like, you never met this person, but we've done video chats, and we've done this, and we've done that, and like for hours we've talked, and it's a friend. It's just the way it is now.
That's good to hear. So we should keep it up right there, mate. And I guess just real quick, got any plans for this year? You gonna do a couple more cover shows?
We're going to do a couple of cover shows, and I'm actually hoping we're going to turn it into more than the two that we have planned. The drummer lives on a lake, a real big lake that's in New Jersey, that's not too far from here, and he said he thinks he can get like the big place where the party is all the time. He thinks he can get that. He can get us in there one weekend, and that would be fun to do. And then we're thinking, maybe I don't think personally like we have the skill for all that. It's just I don't think that I have the repertoire of songs or the voice for it. But this time I just said, when I was younger and played, I used to just really be worried because I can't hit this note, or I can't hit that note. I want to sound just like this guy when we do that cover, and sound just like that person when we do that cover. And now I don't give a crap. I'm going to sound like me because I have no choice, and I'm not going to fight that anymore. That was the mistake I made the first time, and it's the same with the drumming.
That's a good thing. Yeah,
sound like me. I don't care what anybody says. I've had lots of bad. I've had lots of people say nasty things, and I give a crap. I don't even delete them. I just don't care. It doesn't bother me. I'll laugh with them. That's the best.
It's a good man there, John. So, all right. Best luck this year, there, too. That's it. Actually, as you say your friend down on the lake right there, I immediately thought of Chris Farley, the whole thing with living in a van down by the river.
On the river, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Of course, I live in a van.
Well, I think you should shut your big yapper or something. Yeah.
He was.
He was something.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace, too. So,
John
all right.
Belushi, Part 2.
At some point. So, all right. But to close out like this, everyone, I guess there was John Spagnolo, a.k.a. Spags, hailing from the lovely state of New York right there. Close to the border, we should say. He's close to the Pennsylvania and New Jersey border. But he has his own YouTube channel up, so you heard it from here where he's at on the socials and everything too. So let's go out there and support our brother and everything. And if you see him in the cover show, make sure you get a nice little reel of him there too.
Absolutely. And come over and say hello.
That too. He's a talker. You can definitely see.
Obviously. Yeah. Nobody's ever said I'm shy.
Yep. All right. But John, thank you again so much for coming out here. So,
Really.
no worries.
And thanks for everything you do for the musical community, because you're supporting it really strongly as well.
I try. But that's why we like doing this. So, but John, thank you again so much for coming on. So you stay safe and God bless.
Thank you.
Rock on. Hey, real quick, strike a pose. Stay tuned, y'all.